Now I'm going to show you how to tape a joint. Okay, we don't have any joint here, so I'm just going to show it on a basic wall. But if you had a joint where you have two pieces of drywall that come together, that seam that's right there, you need to tape that, okay, with drywall tape, not just mud. You want to be able to have a barrier over that, because what you're going to have in that seam is it's going to expand and contract. So as that expands and contracts, okay, just like wood, just like anything else, it's moving back and forth here, okay? It's going to crack that seam. So what holds that seam together is your drywall tape. Now, drywall tape has come a long ways over the years, but the standard tape is basically just a paper joint tape, okay? It usually comes where it has a groove down here, okay, that you can simply fold the tape over like this, okay? So that if you were doing an inside corner where two pieces of drywall met, you could put that in the inside corner. It is not for an outside corner, okay? Outside corners like this, they have what's called corner bead in them, all right? It could be a metal, a plastic version they have now. Typically the metal, it's one of those things, if it's not broke, don't fix it. It works. It's a metal strip that goes in here. You screw it in with drywall screws, you mud over it, and you paint. In this way, when people hit the outside corner of these walls, it holds up a lot better. If you simply had two pieces of drywall that came to this point out here, and you had a piece of drywall tape right here, it's just gonna dent in every time, and you're gonna be patching walls every single day, okay? But getting back to our straight drywall seam. So, if we have a seam that's going right down here with two pieces of drywall meeting, okay, and drywall typically comes in 4 foot by 8 foot sheets. So you're going to have a seam every 4 feet, whether it's, if you're laying them horizontal, it'll be 4 feet up. If you're coming across vertical, it'll be 4 feet over. So we would come up to a seam, right? And the first thing that we would do is take our smaller knife and we would lay mud over the seam, okay? So I would come through here and I would lay a decent amount of mud. You don't want to do like we were doing over here and scrape it clean, okay? Because you need that mud there. And you need that mud there because you need to adhere your drywall tape to it, okay? So then you come down with your tape on that joint, okay? And you come down, all right, and you set it in. And then at the end, just take your knife, okay, and just tear it off that way, all right? So that way you're not pulling it back, trying to cut it, do anything like that. And you want to make sure, and this is critical, that behind this tape, right, is mud, okay? Because that mud, think of it like regular tape, it's the glue, okay? And tape is what? It's paper, all right? So if it doesn't have mud behind it or it gets too much moisture or anything, what you're gonna have is you're gonna have it bubbling. Now, what I then like to do is I like to come with a bigger knife, and as I go over the top of the tape, okay, I spread it down, okay? Come up, spread down, okay? And I like to make sure, and I might start maybe about a ½ inch up from the bottom, right? And I'll come up and drag that out, okay? And then I'll start about here and drag that down. Why am I doing that? That's so that as I'm coming this way, I don't lift that tape up here, and I'm not coming straight down this way so I don't curl that tape from the top, all right? Now, you can always go and fan out the sides a little bit, but it's okay to still see this tape, all right? You don't have to get it filled with mud on the first time around. What's gonna happen is you're gonna let this dry. You may come back with a sanding block and sand around here a little bit, but you will not really sand this heavy. You don't need to. You'll simply come back over with your drywall knife and you will lay a nice coat of mud over it, okay? Because we don't have this tape bubbling underneath all right? We don't have to cut it later with a razor blade and try to tuck mud or anything. We want to make sure it's laid down. People that do drywall on a commercial level, they're not sitting here like I am, with, a foot and a half worth of tape and fielding it out. They have rollers, they slide these things down, and this process is much, much quicker. But if you're going just on a smaller level type basis and you're trying to do some patching, you have a crack in your drywall, things like that, this is the way to go. And if you have a crack going down your drywall, okay, do not mud over the crack without using tape. Because you go and you lay mud all the way down, what's gonna happen is it's just going to crack again, all right? It might fill in for a little bit. Now there's another trick that people will try to do where they'll take and they'll fill it in with caulk. Not a fan, all right? I would rather do it this way. This way, if it cracks, it's gonna crack underneath and you're done. I don't like taking two different mediums like caulk and drywall and mixing those together unless we're talking about corner seams or things like that where it can kind of hide a little bit better and it makes more sense.